everybody. It is Monday, February 29th, 26th. Wait a minute. The 29th. Wait, Nick, what the actual fuck's going on? How is it February 29th? It's supposed to be March 1st, even though March 1st is tomorrow. What's going on, Nick? Explain this shit to me.
It's
Is this some sort of communist plot to take over the world? It should not be the 29th.
no, it's a scientific thing called a leap year. And basically what happens is every year there isn't 365 days in a year. There's actually 365 and a quarter days in a year. So every 4 years we get an extra day to even out the time span.
So you're saying that this is a communist plot?
I'm saying that science is real and it's cool and it lets us do things like have an extra day.
No, no. Science is a very cruel mistress. In fact, it's a punishing mistress. Unless you're Jesse Pinkman and you're just learning, chemistry to make some money. I don't know. I don't know. Today's weird. It's actually strange to me having an extra day. But yes, it's February 29th. This is Radio Tokyo. I'm Jonathan. You already know Nick's here, and it's Leap Day. Because every 4 years, like Nick said, we do have a leap year, which I still think is a communist plot. Um, it's weird when you think about it. It's like there's all of a sudden an extra day every 4 years, and I have a friend that I went to school with. Her birthday is actually February 29th, so every 4 years she gets to have a birthday. Now, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who had to completely ruin this for her, she actually has a birthday every year, and she still gets a year older, even though she's really technically only a quarter of her actual age. So she's about 30 right now, so she's, I don't know, 8 years old, I think, in leap years.
I hope she isn't dating anyone older than 8 then. I mean, that'd be awkward.
Well, see, she actually has a kid who's at least 8. So, it's,
Wait,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
How does that math? I don't.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of strange when you think about it, because that
So,
would mean that
wait,
the child is the same age as the mom. Because again, if you're born on February 29th, that day only exists every 4 years. So, I mean, I get that it's, to correct for axial tilt and all this, scientific stuff that's going on, but in the end, we're talking about a day that only actually exists every 4 years. So how is it that, someone can have a birthday on that day every year, but that day doesn't exist that year? I just don't get that.
I mean, it's science. I mean, you just sometimes you have to accept things that are a little strange.
I guess science, it works, bitches. But speaking of strange, 2016 is apparently not going to be the most normal year ever. I mean, it's kind of like I mean, we're not even a full well, we're 2 months into it already, and it's already turning out to be strange. Deadpool, for example, is still doing initial run. It's still in the theater here after, I don't know, almost 3 weeks. And it's officially the best performing R-rated movie of all time, I think. It's definitely outperformed every other superhero movie, and that's strange to think about
Unless
because,
you count Star Wars as a superhero movie of sorts. That's a
well,
little
see,
debatable, I guess.
well, okay, Star Wars is still one of the best performing movies of all time. Like it's already set that record, but R-rated movies and superhero genre movies don't tend to ever, get that high up. But it's making so much money. The last time I checked,
Well,
it's like $125 million in like 2 weeks,
well,
and it's amazing.
okay. Here's the really weird thing. And something I really don't understand that Hollywood doesn't get. When you stay true to source material, things do really, really well. When you deviate from source material, things go really, really badly. And I'm not sure if you know about this movie, but have you heard about Gods of Egypt?
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you. This is a very basic question. Um,
Okay.
in general, uh, what color are Egyptians, or race, or
Oh, you're
ethnicity?
gonna ask me about whitewashing. Okay. Um,
Yeah,
I actually had
yeah.
an interesting conversation with
Wait,
this
wait.
about this.
First, no, no. Let's think about The Last Airbender as well, which was
No, no,
a
no, 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 no,
Nickelodeon
no, no,
cartoon.
no, no, no. Hang on. Let me answer your question. Because you're asking about whitewashing. Again, I had a very interesting conversation with a friend about this the other day. Who's
Hmm.
actually possibly angrier than I am. Now, generally, I don't really give a shit. I think if you want to cast an actor in your role in your movie, go for it. If they can portray the role, that's fine. That's why, even though I haven't seen the new Annie, I'm okay with it being a black family now. It doesn't bother
Yeah,
me. That's
yeah.
fine. But I know some people who were upset about it. And speaking, it's a good thing you bring this up because last night was the Oscars, and that was very big talking point. But anyway, to answer your question, um, I don't give a shit. I'm not even interested in the movie, to be honest with you. I'm really not. It
Well,
doesn't. It looks like a 2 hour long uh CGI fest, and I am kind of tired of those movies. I really actually am. And the thing,
well, well,
like going back to Deadpool. Yes, Deadpool had some CGI in it. Deadpool's like an hour or 40 minutes long, whatever it was. I was fine with that. I'm okay with that. It was minimally used, and when it was used, uh, it was mostly for fight scenes, mostly for um, you know slowing things down and a little bit of editing and Colossus, and it worked for me. I was fine,
well,
and I'm sure
well,
Batman vs Superman's
well, my
going to have it
point.
in there. By the way, we are less than a month away from that movie. I'm excited for it. But anyway, go ahead and defend whitewashing Hollywood movies, Nick.
No, I'm not going to do that. However, what I was going to
No,
say is,
you're going to do that because clearly I have come out against whitewashing, but at the same time I don't care. You know it. You know it
well, what I was going to
again.
say is
This
that
is
whitewashing
2016.
is. Wait. Oh, no, no. What I was going to say is, whitewashing, especially on a scale of something like Gods of Egypt or The Last Airbender, just in recent memory, or uh, I mean, there's a couple other movies, obviously, in recent history, but what it's doing is when you do a historical film like that, you're deviating from the source material. And
Nick,
that's what I was going to go back to with the comics.
Nick,
When we deviate from the source material
Nick,
and do different things,
Nick,
the movies end up
Nick,
terrible. Terrible.
Nick.
But,
I gotta stop you here. Gods of Egypt
okay.
is not a historical movie. It's not
No,
a
no, no.
historic. No, no,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. It is not a historical movie. Okay, it may be
a
set in
historically
it. Hang
based
on.
movie.
No, no, it's not. We're talking about a
Even a
movie. We're talking
mythologically
about a
based
movie in
movie.
which the gods descend from wherever the hell it is they are to find one
It's
of them's
still
lost
based
eye. Okay.
on
Now, no, no,
historical
no, no.
mythology.
Mythology is mythology. History is history. They're entirely different things. See, basically what you're saying is that some things can have happened so long ago that, uh, you know, that we don't know that they happened or not. And that's simply untrue. I think that if a god or multiple gods ever waged a war, um, within the existence of humanity, which is about 100,000 years, uh, we would probably know about it. I think there would be some kind of sign about it happening.
That's
Instead,
fine.
hang
But
on. Let me finish my point.
wait, wait, wait,
Let me
wait, wait, wait,
let
wait.
me
Hold on,
finish
hold
my
on,
point.
hold on. Wait, wait, hold
Let
up,
me
hold up,
finish.
hold up.
Let me finish.
Is
Let
it
me
a
finish. Let me
historical
finish.
fact that Egyptians are black? That's what I'm asking.
Nick, you can't just tell someone they're black. That's racist.
Well, I'm going to be that
Nick,
racist asshole today. Egyptians are
wow.
black.
So you're going to be the racist asshole. Wow. Are
Wait,
you going to wait, are Nick, this raises a
yeah,
very important question
yeah.
here. Are you all of a sudden Donald Trump?
No, no, no. I am not Donald Trump.
Are you
I'm just
sure?
saying Egyptians are black. Yes,
Look, okay,
I'm sure.
look. You can't say Egyptians were black. Okay, I'm sorry. That's racist. You have to call them African American.
Well, no, that's inaccurate because they're African, not African American.
Nick, look. We don't use the term black. It's African American. Okay, this is the world we live in now.
It, that that wouldn't make sense. If you're gonna say it, you would say they're African, not.
Nick, look. They're African American. Okay, that's the term now. Please quit being Donald Trump. Anyway,
I, I,
speaking of look, if you want to be a racist, you can be a racist in your own time. We're going to talk about Donald Trump, who is a racist in everybody's time. Because over the weekend he picked up a second endorsement from David Duke, and those of you who don't know who David Duke is, you might want to exercise your Google foo and look the man up. Former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. He's endorsed Donald Trump twice now. The second endorsement was him saying that voting against Donald Trump would be voting against your European American heritage. Now, I don't know about every other white person in the United States, but um, as far as I know, I can't trace my family back to Europe. Okay, the first the first time that my last name showed up in the United States was an immigrant. We believe from Ireland. We don't know where in Ireland they came from. In fact, they could have lived somewhere else and then just went to New York. But it's the first time it showed up. It was about 1792 or so. Supposedly, my family line can be traced back to Ireland. Now you can make an argument here that Ireland is not part of Europe because Ireland was forced into subjugation by the British. But that's an entirely different story, even though it's, almost St. Patrick's Day. And I'm sure at some point in time I'll go into the history of Ireland and why it pisses me off that we're considered part of everyone else. No, not cool with me. Um, but yeah, Donald Trump has picked up a second endorsement from the former leader of the fucking Klan. And why this is important is because his father, uh, Fred Trump, was arrested in 1927 by the NYPD because he was at a rally for the Klan. Think about that for a second, okay? But Trump will not actually speak out against the Klan. He will not denounce the endorsement. He will not denounce the support. He says that he has no idea who David Duke is, and that's simply untrue. He knows exactly who David Duke is, and he knows what David Duke does, and it's strange to me. And his defense later today, about 26 hours after, the conversation where the endorsement was brought up on live TV, um, he said that he's blaming it all on a faulty earpiece, and he did not realize who he was being asked about, even though he said the name David Duke back. And I mean, there's really only one person in the country named David Duke who someone would be asking about, but whatever, Donald.
So basically, what we learned is that Donald Trump is still a racist asshole.
if he's not a racist asshole, he's very, very, very good at pretending to be one. He's the kind of person who would go see your movie Gods of Egypt and say, I like this movie.
Which would be a terrible, terrible thing.
But earlier
Because
you
it's a
said,
bad enemy.
but earlier
It
you
is
seemed to
really
be in
bad
favor of
enemy.
whitewashing, Nick. You said you want to be the racist asshole who's in favor of whitewashing.
No, I never said that.
Yeah.
I just said
Oh.
that Egyptians are black.
Oh. Okay. So Nick, damn it, you cannot call Egyptians black. Okay. You have to call them African Americans.
No, they're, they're,
No,
they're
no,
black or
no.
African.
Look. Okay.
They're not
Look.
African American.
If you're going to
You
call
have to be.
Egyptians black, I'm going to start saying that Santa Claus is white. Okay?
That's debatable, actually.
No, it's not debatable. Santa Claus is white. He just is. And now I'm sounding like Megyn Kelly on Fox News, but she actually did say all that. Interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe you're turning into the racist asshole now.
No, look, Jesus was black. Santa Claus is white. Uh, Ronald Reagan is the devil, and the government's lying about 9/11. Free Mandela.
Okay, that recovered the show.
Oh, I told you, 2016 is a strange, weird, strange year. Um, but moving,
Including
m-
really,
m-
really strange award shows. Like, really weird
yeah.
award shows.
I want to move away from Donald Trump. We're actually coming back to Donald Trump because I have something else I want to say about him. But I want to talk about the Oscars last night because holy shit! Evidently, we live in a uh, politically correct. Now, I don't like political correctness. I think it's a bullshit term. And believe it or not, it was a bullshit term invented by a Republican. Uh,
I feel like the Oscars would have been much better if they literally just ignored everything.
you mean don't make political statements?
I mean, yeah, yeah. I understand the premise that celebrities have lots of power and that they can use that for the good of influencing people and blah, 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 blah. But my God, are they terrible at it.
Well, see,
Really, really.
okay,
And
look,
I like Chris Rock. I like Chris Rock. I think he's a funny guy. But my God, that was a terrible. That was one of the worst, most awkward openings I have ever seen in
well,
anything
see, okay,
ever.
okay. Here's my thing. We all went into this knowing that it was going to be addressed. Okay, we I don't know about the average person, but I was aware when they announced Chris Rock was going to be hosting the Oscars, I knew exactly what would happen. Okay? I knew it. I'm not stupid. Um, Now, do I agree with this? Sure. Whatever. I don't care. I actually had other programs to watch last night other than the Oscars, like Vinyl, which is amazing. And at some point in time, I do want to get into a discussion about Vinyl and how important it is that it's on TV and awesome and everything. But I also watched The Walking Dead and I watched Venture Brothers. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is the best season of the Venture Brothers ever, by the way, and last night is probably my favorite episode. Just
I
for
haven't
one scene, I'm
seen
going
that
to
in a
ruin this.
long
I
time.
have to ruin this. I have to ruin this. The Monarch is flying by in a flying car, and he's flying over uh, Dr. Venture's house, and he shits in his pool as he flies over it. It was amazingly done. It was hilarious, and just the Monarch's laugh was just the best thing. Anyway, that's the only thing I'm going to
I'm
spoil
shaking
about it.
my head.
What's that?
I'm just shaking my head.
Look, damn it, it was great. He's like, I'm gonna take a flying dump in Dr. Fincher's pool, and he does. It was cool. But anyway, um, I kind of switched back and forth off the Oscars to see what was talking. Because everything I wanted to watch last night, didn't really start until about the Oscars were had been on for half an hour or so. So I did watch the opening monologue, and it was characteristically uncomfortable for the Oscars when they address politics in the opening statements.
I
But it
don't even understand what he was trying to do. I really don't. Was he trying to say
well,
that the Oscars are racist and it's okay? Like,
yes,
what was
that's
he trying
actually
to do?
see, uh, that's actually okay. If it wouldn't take for fucking ever to, read his opening monologue because it's like without the pauses for the audience to recognize it's a joke, it's probably 10 minutes long, maybe. But so I'm not gonna get into it. But anyway, he was trying to bring awareness to the fact that there's a problem in Hollywood and that there's a lot of white actors, which there are, and that a lot of roles are not given to black actors, which is true, but it's historically been that way. In fact, when he went out on the street and was asking people, are you concerned about this? People seem to have other things on their mind, and that's why I think he made the joke, which shouldn't be a joke, about how in the 1960s and 50s and whatnot, that you didn't see black people concerned about who was not winning an Oscar, who was not invited and whatnot, because they had other actual concerns like being lynched, being sprayed with water hoses, having the dogs called on them, and being threatened with jail time and being beaten. Okay. In fact, within my own lifetime, I remember Rodney King's beating taking place. I remember seeing it on TV. I remember seeing the riots when they happened over and over and over again, all this stuff. I don't think that year people were worried about black actors in Hollywood because Hollywood was ripping its fucking self apart over racism, okay? Now, what I'm getting at is um, there's actual racism, and then there is what is implied racism. And I think when you start, just skirting the actual racism, and you get more upset about the implied racism, that you have a problem. Now, I'm not saying that Hollywood does not have this issue. They do. Okay, there are a lot of roles that could have gone to black actors, but they didn't. Look at the reaction to Idris Elba possibly being James Bond. That's the most recent enough that I can give you. But my question, my concern is when there are actual problems facing everyday people, why are we worried about boycotting the Oscars because a black man or a black woman was not nominated in a role in a movie that they were not in? Okay? The problem is not Hollywood. The problem is not the Oscars. It's who's doing the fucking casting for these movies, okay? Who's doing the fucking writing for them? If now, here's the thing. I was always told, when I was younger, if you wanted something, go out and earn it. Okay, Will Smith has consistently gone out to earn a living as a black actor in Hollywood. Okay, Idris Elba's doing the same thing. A lot of other actors and actresses are doing the same thing. They're looking at the problem and they're saying, fuck you, problem. I'm going to go make a living making movies. They're doing it. Okay, that's awesome to me. Why is it everyone else has to sit back and say, "Oh, I'm not going to get an Oscar. Why should I go?" And Spike Lee, look, dude, shut the fuck up for a minute, okay? You have been making movies that have done very well. In fact, it was Spike Lee who's mostly responsible for Denzel Washington's career. By the way, Denzel Washington happens to be one of the most popular, most prolific, and most successful black actors in Hollywood in the past 40 years. Uh, he helped launch his career with the movie about Malcolm X. Okay, Spike Lee being upset that he's never won an Oscar is like me being upset that I've never walked on the moon. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that I haven't put any work into getting on the moon because I damn sure have. I would like to walk on the moon. I applied for Mars One. I'm interested in space. I've done this, I've done that, but I'm not going to walk on the moon. Now, I'm not saying Spike Lee's never going to get an Oscar, but I am saying that he has done a hell of a lot more work towards getting it. Okay? He's actually done a lot more work than I have ever done in my life to being able to walk on the moon. And for Spike Lee to be pissed off and saying, well, I'm never going to get my Oscars, we need to boycott them. Black actors don't get them. No, back up and look at Hollywood. Look at the number of black actors who portray roles. Look at the number of white actors who portray roles. Maybe it might be that more black actors are not being cast because you're a minority in Hollywood, right now, and they don't want to keep reusing the same actors. That might actually be what it is. And also, again, Spike Lee, my original point I was going to make is shut the hell up. You have had a career longer than I've been alive. You've made some fantastic movies. People know who you are. You're recognized. You just haven't won an award. It's fine. Like Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio's making movies for like 20, 25 years now. And guess what? He won an award last night. Your time will come, okay? Just calm the fuck down. It's okay. There's no need to protest over this, okay? Now, the reason I'm saying I need to protest over this is because you're not being shot for being in a movie or not being in a movie. Okay? You're not being choked in the middle of daylight in a street in New York City because you're in a movie or you're not in a movie. This is all implied racism, and this is the problem that I have with political correctness in today's society, or at least what it is now. It's insanity. We're talking about a role in a movie. Put yourself out there, get the role, stop stupid bullshit. That's really all I have to say.
Well, I'm going to completely disagree with you. Because, alright, let me go back to what Chris Rock was saying. That, yeah, they never protested the Oscars because, well, there was more important things to worry about, which is completely true. And still kind of true to this day. However, here's what happens when you actually start to overcome racism. And as much shit that's going on today, I would say that the country has still made a lot of progress. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but in my opinion, the country is a lot better off. Because, well, you might get beat up in the street for being black or shot, but it's much less likely now. You're not going to get lynched. And if you do get lynched, it's probably not going to get overlooked. Not to say that that's, acceptable or anything like that, but basically what I'm trying to say is it might only be, but there is progress being made. And what happens when you make progress? Well, your attention turns to other things that might be, well, no, they are less important. So I can understand why the black actors and actresses and directors and all of them are upset about not getting much recognition for at things like the Oscars or other award shows. And it's because Hollywood is a primarily white institution. There's no getting around that. It is a very, very white institution. And they are very, very selective of the black actors and directors and actresses that they do use. I can basically name them off the top of my head. Samuel Jackson, Idris Elba, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, uh, Whoopi Goldberg. There aren't many other black actors and actresses out there that are very popular. There's a couple that are up and coming in the past 10 years or so, but even still, it's a very, very, very small number. And I mean, this isn't necessarily the Oscars' fault, like you said, but it is Hollywood's fault. I would not just let Hollywood off the hook here. They should be trying to be more inclusive. and not just the black actors and actresses, but Hispanic actors and actresses, Asian actors and actors. Can you name one Asian actor? Can you name an Asian actor, John?
Patricia Jolie.
No, an actor, not an actress, an actor.
You an Asian actor. Okay, George Takei.
That's true. And then you have Jackie Chan, and you have oh
Bruce
God, what's
Lee.
his name? Bruce Lee. However, how long ago were those actors and actors popular?
George Takei has been popular since the 1960s, and Patricia Jolie still does roles. Uh,
No, no, I'm saying, like, when was the last? Like, I don't remember the last really popular Jackie Chan movie. I really don't. Maybe Rush Hour.
like Rush Hour 47 or whatever one it was at, which is not that long ago. I mean,
It was a while
we're
ago.
talking
That,
about
that was
within the
actually
past
a while
5
ago.
years.
No, it was actually a while ago. I think it's been a while now. Anyways, the point is that Hollywood is clearly racist. And the reason Chris Rock's award monologue was so awkward was not because he was calling it racist. It was because he was trying to excuse its racism and just brush it off as, hey, that's the way it is. And but we all still like each other, right? Right. And it was just so awkward, so cringeworthy. Everyone in the audience felt uncomfortable because they didn't know what they were supposed to do. Are we supposed to agree with this? Are we supposed to disagree with this? What is going on? And it
But
was the
see,
most convoluted thing I've ever seen because he didn't take a stance one way or the other, really. He just said this isn't a problem. And, well, I understand the point that, yes, we have bigger problems in the world, clearly, with things like Black Lives Matter going on, people getting shot, choked. Whether you want to say those people were guilty or innocent, it's still a problem with the lethal force that police are using, especially against minorities. But the overall point is that it's okay to be mad about these things because they are things that do deserve some kind of response or, you know, they're things that, over time we're going to look at more closely and we're going to ask ourselves, can we fix this? And yeah, we can fix it. We literally can fix it. They can fix it tomorrow. I'm not saying we need black actors in everything or to change the traditional roles of who people used to be, or whatever you want to say. Although I still find the idea of Idris Elba can't be James Bond silly because James Bond is a title, not a person. But anyways, that's a different matter. It's just it was so weird. It was so weird. I don't know. I don't know.
so you realize that you're saying basically the same thing that I'm saying about this.
I'm saying that Hollywood is racist and it's okay to be mad about it and they shouldn't exactly shut up, but
I didn't say shut up
Chris
about it.
Rock did a terrible
Well, okay,
job of.
okay. I take it back. I did say
I,
Spike
I'm
Lee.
saying Chris Rock did a terrible job.
Hang on. I'm correcting myself
That's
here.
what I'm saying.
I did say that Spike Lee does need to shut up, but that's because Spike Lee has made the exact same argument for as long as he has been a successful filmmaker. Okay, that's
Well,
the truth.
personally, I think
That's the
Spike
truth.
Lee's overrated.
It well, it, he does do some decent movies, you know. But when you make
He
the exact
does.
same, hang on, when you make the exact same argument about something, but your entire career shows the opposite of what you're saying is going on, you might need to quit using it as a talking point. You know, it's sort of like at this point that people, like, for example, Saudi Arabia, you know, like saying "death to America" every 5 seconds. Okay, there's a running joke now that I've heard for years that Death to America is just how they say hello because they say it so much. It's like uh, trying to think of something else that's relevant to this. Oh, Donald Trump make America great again. He says it so much, it's just a thing he said. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that there are not black actors who have not struggled. There are. There's a lot of them who have struggled. Okay. But we're not offering roles to white actors and actresses and putting them in blackface anymore. Okay, we're not doing that. Uh, Hollywood has actually gotten more diverse. It really has. And the reason it has is for exactly what I said needs to be done. If you want it, go do it. Look at Will Smith, okay? Will Smith wanted to be a successful actor. He wanted to be well known, and he managed to do that, okay? Spike Lee wanted to be a successful director. He's done that. He's had a career longer than I've been alive, okay? You cannot sit around and bitch about something and then expect to get what you want. That's not how it works. The world has never worked that way. You can't sit around and say, gimme, 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 and then you get everything you want. No. At some point in time, you're going to have to work for it. I mean, it, I can say this about anything. You and I are both Bernie supporters, okay? And I've said a dozen times now at least I'm a Republican. And I've been asked, why are you a Republican and you support Bernie Sanders? It's because, well, I believe what he has to say, okay? The right thing to do is to give people the help when they ask for it, but also to encourage them to actually do something with that help, okay? You can't just sit back and say, oh, well, I'm going to sit here and keep giving you all the help in the world, and if you're not going to act on it, that's fine. I'll just keep supporting you. No, you need to actively encourage people to do something. And I think that's been what Bernie's message is. And I think that's what uh, the successful actors and actresses in Hollywood that are non-white need to do. They need to say, look, damn it. Okay, actually, Chris Rock said it last night. He says it was kind of mean, but he pointed out how Jada Pinkett Smith was on Gotham, which, by the way, starts back tonight. But he pointed out how she was on Gotham, and she's upset about not getting an Oscar nomination. Okay, you don't get an Oscar for being on a TV show. You get an Emmy for that. Okay, uh, but Jada has not done a lot of movies recently. So of course, she's not getting fucking nominated because she's not getting in roles in movies. But she was on TV, and she was one of the better parts of that TV show that she was on. Okay? People love her on TV. She's fantastic in the role. Meanwhile, her husband is going out and getting movie roles and being successful. But he's getting to the point where he's getting tired of doing all these movies because it's essentially the same thing over and over and over again. He's getting to be too old to do the action star thing anymore, so he's getting tired of doing that. But that's what made him famous, and he's encouraging his son, who did a movie with Jackie Chan, to become more active, and I appreciate that. That's exactly what needs to be done. Okay. Over the weekend, I had the chance to go to my boss's office opening, and it was open house. She was going to ribbon cut and everything. Okay. And while she was there, she had a man who was running for sheriff. Okay. Uh, this man who's running for sheriff, where she lives, is a black man, and he said something that you don't typically hear about police. He said that there is a culture of people being taught to fear the police, and that's wrong. And when he gets elected, which I sincerely hope he does, excuse me, he says that he's going to actively encourage all the deputies underneath him and the police department and the state police and everyone else to go into neighborhoods and meet with people and to humanize them. Okay, he wants to encourage society to change. He wants to encourage a growth in society, so that way we can do away with the mythology that the police are here to kill you, because he's tired of people being shot, and he's tired of stupid bullshit issues, which I'm sorry to say is what the Black Lives Matter movement has brought up more than once. It's like for example the weekend. Hillary Clinton beat Bernie Sanders by like a 75% majority, whatever the hell it was. Okay, and Bernie has actually been arrested for civil rights, for fighting for civil rights issues in the past. But Hillary won because of misinformation among the community. Okay, you have to instill the change. You have to get people to understand that just because you've achieved one thing does not mean it's entirely over, just like you said earlier. Okay? So, what we need to do is there needs to be encouragement for these up and coming black actors and actresses to actually step out and go for the roles. You might not get the role, but you fucking need to put your face out there, your name out there, and do it. Because sitting back and saying, "Oh, I didn't get an award this year. That must mean they're racist." No, like I said, it might just actually be that you're not doing what you need to do to get it.
So what we're saying is we want to see more black actors in movies.
I do. I really do. And honestly, just like with Gods of Egypt, I would like to see less fucking whitewashing. I'm sorry, because that is bullshit to me, okay? Now, I understand, if you could not find an actor or actress to, of the correct ethnicity to portray your role, you went with someone else, I would understand that. But no, instead, movies like this and a lot of other movies that are supposedly
Well,
historical
well,
have picked white
I
people
think the
to play
I
the
think the
role
problem with
because
Gods
it's
of
the name they're going for. They're getting the names on there, and they want people to go see those names because they'll make money doing that.
I think the problem with Gods of Egypt is it isn't just one or two or three or maybe even the royals. It's literally everyone except for one token black actor. They have a token black actor in a movie about Egypt. I don't understand that.
Well, see, that goes to the discussion I was having with my friend the other day. He said that even Hollywood got it wrong on that one because this person is not even the correct ethnicity uh, of a black person to portray what he is. The person he should be should have a different body stature and actually should have slightly slanted eyes. But this person doesn't. And this guy is has realized there is a serious fucking issue here. I mean, but that goes to being that goes to back to being politically correct. Exactly at what point in time do you stop the stupid bullshit and say, look, damn it, we're trying our best here, okay? There might not be enough, you know, um, ethnic actors in Hollywood, that apply to these parts, okay? That might be the case.
I
I
do
don't
not.
know. I wasn't pressed out,
I don't accept that.
well,
I do not accept that.
I don't either, but like I said earlier, I think what it is they're trying to get more people to go see these movies. And the reality is that white people go see movies more often, okay? They even showed you that last night. Chris Rock interviewed a handful of black people he came across in the street. Did you see this movie? What do you think about this? Back and forth. They didn't see one of them, but he asked them about the one movie about black people. They went and saw it. Okay, that's fine. That's understandable. I'm not going to bet you about it. It's whatever. Okay, but the reality is that there are actually more white moviegoers than black. Like, I mean, you can go to any movie theater and you'll see this. Okay, Deadpool might possibly be an exception, but then again, I don't recall a single black individual walking out of the theater having seen that movie when I went to see it. Okay. Star Wars, yes. Both times when I went to see Star Wars, I saw a lot of people who were not white coming out of Star Wars. But Star Wars also has some non-white individuals in it, and that's fine. But Star Wars didn't get a fucking award last night. You know what did get an award last night? Because I'm sorry, but I have to bitch about this because it pisses me off. What got an award last night is Mad Max Fury Road. I don't know anybody. I don't know one damn person who saw Mad Max Fury Road and thought it was Oscar worthy. Nobody.
I thought it was.
Fuck you. No, you didn't. Don't confuse people here. You didn't like it. You've told me you didn't like it.
No, I like Mad Max.
No, yeah, you like Mad Max, but did you like Fury Road?
Yeah, I liked Fury Road.
What exactly did Mad Max Fury Road have to do with anything else in Mad Max?
Absolutely nothing.
Exactly. What was the purpose of Mad Max Fury Road?
To restart the series.
And when has any reboot in Hollywood that we've ever discussed been good?
Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Fuck you. When has any reboot actually Force Awakens is not a reboot. It is a
It,
continuation. It is a
it
continuation.
is, but it's also a reboot. It's a reboot at the
No,
same time, and you know it.
no. It's technically a continuation. If you want to talk about a reboot, we can get into the Power Rangers movie that's coming out. By the way, I am finally, after 2 weeks of being busy as shit with with my local campaign I've been running for for city commissioner. I am finally close to finishing Power Rangers in space. Okay, I'm like within 10 episodes, and I do have to say, uh, we'll probably finish it before Friday, and if I do, I'm gonna try and get Brandon on because I do want him on for this episode. But
I mean, it's probably the best season of Power Rangers ever.
okay, here's the thing. A lot of like, for example, Zeo and even some of the just the basic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I just watched them and didn't really pay attention. Now, Power Rangers in Space has actually got a plot to it. It's a strange plot, but I'll get into it later. Another episode. But I'm actually a little more invested in finishing this one than I have anything else because because they're actually going towards a goal. Now I know what the goal is because I've already looked it up. So I know it's going to happen. But it's sort of like seeing Han die in The Force Awakens. Knowing is going to die makes it all the more better. Makes it better because you anticipate it. So I know it's going to happen in this. I'm anticipating it. I'm excited for it, and anyway, back to Mad Max. I watched Mad Max Fury Road expecting it to be kind of an awesome movie. I was let down. It was just Tom Hardy walking around for 2 hours, talking like that. It was like the worst Marlon Brando as the Godfather impersonation ever. It's like, like, dude, enunciate your word, add some volume to what you have to say. But no, instead we had like 2 hours of Tom Hardy wearing stupid shit on his face again. And every role he has ever had, he has had something on his fucking face. Always, almost always around his mouth. And that's going back all the way to Star Trek Nemesis, which is where he actually had the least shit on his face. You don't believe me? Look at his role in The Revenant. Look at Mad Max. Look at Bane. Look, everything. He has had stupid shit on his face. Everything, okay? It may just be facial hair, but he has something on his face. And it annoys me. And, well, the argument was made, well, Charlize Theron is being this. It's a feminist movie. Okay. I watched it. I didn't see the feminism in it. I didn't. It might be because I'm not a woman. I don't know. I didn't get how it was her role was supposed to be amazing. I really didn't. I didn't think the effects in it were good. I didn't think it had a good plot. I didn't think that it had good dialogue. I didn't like a damn thing about the movie. Okay? This is a completely separate Mad Max to me. This is like one of those, like you said, calling it a reboot. It's supposed to be a continuation, but it is a reboot because you have a brand new actor portraying the role. And it's kind of like, I guess you could make the argument about James Bond being a reboot every time. But this is a reboot, and it's an unsuccessful reboot as far as I'm concerned. I didn't like it. I don't know anyone who
I,
actually did.
I
And the ones
actually
and the
like to
ones
be funny
and the
there.
ones like you who say you did, I would like you to justify why you liked it, if you don't mind.
I actually, because I really, I guess I think of it more as a James Bond thing. Um, I never went into the movie expecting it to be a continuation or even close to a continuation. Because, well, how are you going to continue the movie without Mel Gibson? You You just you can't do that.
Well,
There's literally no way to do
you
that.
could, but you know what? Mel Gibson kind of offended some people.
But I mean, I went into the movie thinking of it as a reboot. I went in there thinking it was a reboot. I didn't really expect any connection to the old story. I just kind of went with the flow. It was a fun ride, and you know, that was all there was. It was just a fun movie. And some of the effects and some of the fight scenes, I could see them being Oscar worthy. I wouldn't make it Best Picture worthy, definitely not. But I could see it being nominated for a lot of Oscar things like Best Score or, Best Effects, Supporting Actors, things like that.
I see. I don't know how it won the awards it did. I mean, it's
I don't understand how Star Wars did not get more. Or is that up for next year? I'm confused.
no, it was up for this year. It actually was nominated for a few things. It was, on the tail end of movies to be able to be nominated, and it just didn't get
I don't
nominations.
understand how the most successful movie ever is not worthy of awards. I don't
second
understand
most,
that.
and it's because it's Star Wars. Science fiction movies,
Well, in North
hang on.
America, it is the most successful ever.
Scientific movies typically do not ever get nominated for anything, like major awards. Now, the
And
initial,
see, well,
like
this,
the first three movies did because they were very successful. Like they literally defined the genre of what a science fiction movie should be. Okay, they did.
well,
But now here it is, nearly
going
40
back to
years
the talk
later.
of wait, hold on. Going back to the talk of diversity, this is actually a problem with the award show and the Oscars. And it doesn't just extend to minority actors or actresses, but these award shows tend to very heavily slant or have bias against certain types of movies. Um, Another movie that probably should have got more recognition was Welcome to Compton. Star Wars. These are movies that just don't do well at the Academies, and I don't exactly understand why. There's no real reason to me that they should not be up for awards, especially with how popular they were, how successful they were, well received. Um, I don't get it. Do you
I'm
get
sorry.
it?
No, no, but I'm sorry. I was actually a little bit distracted. I just got sent something over Facebook. Oh my
Hmm.
god. Okay, I'm gonna skip that because I do want to talk about what did win Best Picture, and then we're about an hour now, so we're probably gonna close with talking about the other Donald Trump issue. I want to talk about Spotlight for a minute. Um, Now I don't know if you've seen it, Nick,
I
but
haven't not seen it.
you
I've
you
never even heard of it.
you need to. You need to. This is the second year in a row that Michael Keaton has been in a movie that won Best Picture. Think about that for a second. Michael Keaton, 1989 Batman, has been in two movies back to back in back to back years. And last year was Birdman, and this year was Spotlight. Okay,
He is a great actor.
he is, but he's traditionally not viewed as being Oscar worthy if you look at his past roles. But this has got Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Liev Schreiber, Stanley Tucci. It's a beautifully done movie. I really enjoyed it. I really did. What it's about is there was a newspaper in Boston that had done a couple stories over abuse by Catholic priests. Okay, and there was several groups that popped up, that were survivor groups and support groups and everything, and they were talking about it. And this newspaper decided when they got a new editor, who in this is played by Leo Schreiber, that they were going to actually reach out to these people and actually interview them and discuss the abuse scandal that had been going on. Okay, uh, it took about 3 or 4 months to collect all the information, and when they finally broke the story, the World Trade Center happened, and this is reality. This actually happened. Okay, everyone in this is actually a real person. No names were changed. No incidences were changed. But they found that mathematically, that there were about 90 Catholic priests just in Boston who were abusing children, and they said essentially, if you think about that with the Catholic Church worldwide, exactly how many priests are there, and why is it that this shit's being covered up? Well, they discussed the fact that you can actually determine uh, who's liable to be abused in the Catholic Church. They're um, not from a well-to-do family. They're almost always a certain ethnicity. That tend to be Irish Catholic most of the time. Young boys who are who need uh, some kind of father figure because their fathers are dead or arrested or whatever. Like it's crazy when you think about it, and you read the articles. But seeing the movie kind of brings it to life. And at the end of it, it says it tells you what happened after the story finally broke and it finally got national news, and it says something to the effect of that this is not just something that's happening only in Boston. It's happened in these cities, and then it lists I don't know, 50 or 60 cities in the United States. And then it says, and also these places in the world. And it goes, this is an alphabetical order. And it goes to nearly, oh my God, it's insane. It's insane. But it's a very good movie, and it's one that I would absolutely recommend to anybody. I mean, now it's of course it's one of those subjects that's kind of uncomfortable because we're talking about pedophilia here and child molestation in every religious organization, and everyone a lot of people might like to make jokes about what goes on in the Catholic Church. I know I certainly have, and Nick, I know I've given you a difficult time over being Catholic, but the reality is that this is an actual issue, and this movie, true to its name, put a spotlight on it, you know, and I kind of think it did deserve the win. I really do.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the major reasons that the new pope has been more. He has gone to address this, whereas the previous two popes have covered it up heavily. I mean, it's still clearly a problem, something that needs to be fixed. Very is a definite problem, something that should be addressed and should have a spotlight put on it.
Anyway, I want to talk about like the last thing I want to get into. Oh, I do want to mention that when you were talking about things about that were uncomfortable last night in the Oscars, apparently Lady Gaga sang a song about rape, and I haven't heard the song, so I don't know. I wasn't watching when she sang it, but apparently it was very moving, and it was a very good tribute to everyone who has been raped. So if you've been raped, um, I don't really know where I'm going with this, uh, but it
I
was,
I
but
I, I think you lost it. Yeah.
yeah, I think, but what like it's fine. We're talking about an awkward subject, but I just happen to think about it.
Um.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want
So if you've been a victim of abuse and maybe give the song a try and see if it relates to you, and um we wish you all the best and hope that you are doing well.
yeah, we'll go with that. Anyway, getting to the last thing I wanted to talk about today. Um, Last week tonight, but by John Oliver on HBO is possibly the most amazing thing on TV. Week after week, at least when they're doing the episodes. um, John Oliver has brought to light in about 15, 20 minutes all these very, very important things. Now, he does, do some stupid things for the show, like establishing a church and accepting donations. But the good thing of that, well, it became a running gag for a couple weeks. And the good thing that happened is that I forget how much they raised, but all the money was actually given to a charity. The show has spent money on buying on auction off of eBay for $129. The largest brand flakes ever. There's three or four of them, and they're maybe an inch wide. So he bought that just to make a joke on the show, and he does some very silly things. But last night he talked about, um, oh boy, Donald Trump, and he said that with it being very likely that Trump will be the uh, Republican,
Republican nominee.
yeah, the Republican nominee, that it's time to actually start discussing him and being genuinely concerned. I'm not going to get into the whole thing that he said because it's about a 15-20 minute long segment, and it'll probably take me longer than that to explain it. Needless to say, go look it up. Uh, Listen to what he has to say because it's beautiful. But I do want to acknowledge one thing that John Oliver had to say last night, and this is a hashtag. And if you get on Twitter or Facebook, you need to post this hashtag Make Donald Drumpf again. Drumpf, Drumpf. The reason this is important is because Donald Trump has said about certain people who have changed their names that they need to be a proud individual. They need to acknowledge their heritage. They need to not worry about where their family came from. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Okay. So, long story short, Donald Trump's original name was Drumpf. Drumpf. It was changed
I did.
several years ago by a relative of his who immigrated to the United States. Yes, his name was Drumpf, Drumpf, and John Oliver said repeatedly that this is the name, or rather, this is the sound of a store brand bottle of root beer falling on the on the floor and busting open. Trump. It's the sound of an overweight pigeon flying into a window. Trump. It doesn't have the same sound, the respectability, the idea that it carries. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that um, it's okay. It, his name has been changed in the past, and it's kind of strange, for someone who says that you need to own up to who you are and not hide or be ashamed or thing, to try and hide his name. And John Oliver was going on to say that, Trump does sound like it's a rich name. It sounds like one that carries a lot of a lot of importance and a lot of money with it. And the reality is that his real name is Drumpf, Drumpf. Make Donald Drumpf again. Okay. Uh, Last week tonight has actually filed paperwork so that they will own the word Drumpf. And they have developed an app for Google Chrome you can install that every time the word Trump comes up, it will automatically change it to Drumpf. Okay? Uh, Point here being that John Oliver is making a joke out of a man who is running a joke of a political campaign. And I think that is just beautiful.
I think the voter turnout for has been a joke so far. That's what I think.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Early voting for us was last week, and the head of the elections office put something in the news in our newspaper. Uh, we've had about 8% voter turnout, which is actually higher than we tend to average. Now, I know this is an election year, but typically, county-wide here, we have about a 35% turnout, which we've discussed before. It's pretty close to national average on anything. Uh, our typical average, just for for local and state elections, which is what we're doing right now, up until through May, is typically no more than 5 to 6%. So we're already higher than that right now, which is amazing, and I'm kind of happy about that. And it makes me very excited. But that just goes back to this world, I'm sorry, this year being a very strange year. I mean, it's a leap year. We have an extra day, to talk about things and be upset about things. And, um, yeah, Drumpf.
I refuse to accept that as good enough. I want 80 to 90% voter turnout. Earn a B, America. Earn a B.
See, I do too. But I also want Donald Drumpf for president.
No, no, you don't. That's a terrible thing to say. You should apologize to our audience right now.
Why would I apologize for saying I want Donald Drumpf? I'm not saying Trump. No, we don't need Donald Trump. We need Donald Drumpf.
That's still a terrible thing.
Think about this sincerely. Think about this for a second. And I'm fixing to kind of steal one of John Oliver's jokes here. Um, would you? Okay, Donald Trump actually sounds electable. The name Trump, Trump, actually sounds electable. Uh, the thing is, with all of the crazy shit that he said, it means that he's kind of unelectable. He really shouldn't be being elected, being close to being the nominee, but it's most likely what's going to happen. Um, so, with that in mind, imagine if his name actually was Drumpf, Drumpf. Do you think that people would support him?
I, I, I wonder if they would. That'd be a question. It might be one we get to see.
I don't see. I don't think people would support him. I think the fact that we have Donald Drumpf running for president who says all these racist and hateful things, I don't think he would be elected. I really don't.
I mean, we'll get to see. But yeah, don't vote for Donald Trump. Don't. Or Donald Trump. Don't, don't vote for either of them.
Speaking of elections, one final thing. I did actually have a very interesting weekend. I went to a debate for state senators who are running, and I got to ask a question. Uh, like we've discussed before how I have a concern about money corrupting our political system. And we've had Todd Jagger from Wolfpack on before, and we talked about it. Um, that was what I asked, and I kind of feel like a couple of the individuals I spoke to, because I actually did get to speak to the candidates by themselves, and I feel like they were a little dishonest with me. Uh, but that's fine. As far as for one in the room was concerned, they did actually own up to what was said, and they promised that they would start making like their campaign donations more public, and that's okay with me. I'm fine with that. And there was an article in the paper today about about their donations, about how much money they've raised, and I'm actually glad to have seen that. I really am. I mean, it's one thing, to know how much money someone is taking in, and Nick and I have discussed before. I've discussed it with other people, about me being upset about how much money certain individuals are bringing in, and how it should be illegal that they're doing it. But when I discussed it with these people, they were completely honest. They said that they're against it, and I I have to believe him, I guess. I mean, because like I said, with like a day or two later, there's an article where from their campaigns have acknowledged exactly how much money they brought in. So I guess we'll find out. I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
And, uh, we're gonna find out a lot of things following this election. I mean, people are saying a whole lot this year, more so than I've heard in a long time. We've got candidates trying to start revolutions of one sort or another, trying to beat the establishment. Um, I sense a lot of general unease across party lines. Um, and a lot of people are promising a lot of things, and it'll be really interesting to see what actually happens. And if anything really does change, all of this could just blow over after the elections, and we could just go back to the same old, same old.
See, my level of unease is, I think the word I'm looking for is palatable here. Um, my unease is that as a Republican, this is like kind of strange for me to be saying it and knowing it's going to be like an on a record type thing. Um, like for all time, this will be here unless the video gets deleted, but whatever. Anyway, um, my concern is that I did not vote in my state's Republican primary this year. This is the first time I have never done that. Excuse me. I crossed over and voted the Democrat primary this year because I know some candidates who are running, and I wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders for president. Because there is still a possibility that he will not get the nomination, and I wanted to vote my conscience while I had the chance. So I voted for Bernie, and I voted for the local people, and I guess we'll find out, after the primary is over, who goes on to be in the general election in May, which is when I get to be on the ballot. Woohoo! But it's interesting, and I think like a lot of issues, abortion, women's rights, uh, gay rights, like everything you can think of that's been brought up in the past is kind of all coming to a head this election year, and it's a very interesting process to me, and that's why that's what actually got me out to that debate and to listen to what these people had to say, because I'm to the point where I want to listen. I want to know what they have to say, because what they say, if they get into office, like what they do once they get into office, will actually concern me greatly. Um, like it will impact my life. So it's well past time to to get involved. But yeah, I mean, like it's just a strange thing to be talking to somebody who maybe 10 minutes before said something, and then when they talk to you about it, it's like they're changing their position just to appease you. And I think that feeling is exactly what people are tired of. They're tired of being put on the spot to where they feel like what they're saying and doing doesn't actually matter. Like why should I go vote if someone's going to essentially be two-faced with me? Um, but I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
that's
it's almost impossible to trust any politician, because basically they're going to tell you what you want to hear, and then you don't really know what they stand for or what they really want to do.
and the thing is that actually it really does make me very uncomfortable. It really does. Because like going okay. Here's the thing. With this one in particular, he has spent about $1.5 million just on yard signs alone. Okay, like a typical, like one of the small yard signs that's about the size of a piece of note, well, a couple pieces of notebook paper. You know, one of the little ones that's like a foot and a half long, maybe a foot tall. You know, those tend to sell because I've had to look into the shit uh, for my campaign. They tend to cost about $5 each. Okay, he spent $1.5 million on those things. That's a lot of fucking money.
That's a lot of money.
Uh, in the
Yeah.
last 8 days, between well, and this is including today. Well, actually, stopping tomorrow, so today will be the eighth day. He's raised over $250,000 in campaign donations. Okay, most of these are not from individuals; they're from people representing companies. So he's taking a lot of money to be able to run. Okay. Meanwhile, the individual who I like and I support and I intend to vote for should he be on the ballot in several weeks, is funding his is actually doing most of his funding out of pocket. Okay, he had uh, his own lifetime earnings to spend, and he's taken a few donations, but nearly everything he spent so far has been just out of pocket, and I admire that about the man. The person who's actually doing not as well as everyone else. Uh, he he was honest. Uh, he told me after the whole debate was over that he is funding everything entirely out of pocket. He does not even have a donate button on his website that I could find. Now he will accept the donation if you give it to him, and he was honest enough to tell me that. But he asked me if I knew how much he had spent on his campaign, and I said no. And he says I've spent $3,500. Think about that for a second. Just fucking think about that shit. This man runs a small business. Okay, oh, actually, two small businesses. Um, he can't really afford, to waste money, because he has things he has to do with that money. And here he is
Yeah.
running for state senate, and he spent $3,500. That's about most people in my age range's life savings. It's about that much money. Okay. Uh, some people make that much in a year. Some people make that much in a day. Now here he is, having spent this much. He's doing as well as he is with that in mind. Now he's not. It kind of bothers me to say that he probably won't be on the ticket, the ballot. But it's the truth. Uh, but he spent that much money on his campaign, and that's beautiful to me. That's wonderful. But contrast that with the guy who's most likely going to win, who's just spent $1.5 million just on little 2 foot square yard signs. That's a lot of damn money, and
It is.
uh, it's kind of crazy to think about that. That's the political system. That's the environment that we have today in today's society. I mean, you can spend uh, a lot of money and get uh, it's crazy. It really is.
I mean, it's just a really weird system that we have now.
It is. It's kind of scary, but that's what's going to happen. I guess. I mean, we're going to find out in like 8, 9 weeks, whatever it is, until uh, the general election goes on here. So I can tell you all then. But until then, I'm going to be keeping an eye on these people. I mean, it's not that I should be. I'm sure some people might make the argument that I need to be less concerned about it than I am, and just because we talked about it before. I'm involved with Wolfpack, the organization that we had on here when we had Todd Jagger on a while back. But I'm concerned, okay, because uh, I was actually asked this by one of our outgoing city commissioners the other day. He asked me what I think about taxes. So this is the first time I'm actually putting my political stance in a recorded form here. So bear with me. Um, I'm actually in favor of taxes. I acknowledge that it is a very unfortunate thing that sometimes taxes do have to be raised. So, because you do have to have money to pay for all the nice things that you want. Now, you don't have to raise taxes, okay? You actually can avoid raising taxes like property taxes, water taxes, and stuff like that. You can do that by increasing your taxpayer base. Well, there's typically two ways to do that. One is put more people to work, and two, uh, you bring more people into your population, okay? So you can raise your tax base, and that's fine. It works, and that helps alleviate the problem. But the issue is that if I feel personally, and I've actually been asked this, going around and speaking to people, while I'm trying to campaign, they've asked me, am I in favor, of raising taxes like, property tax and water tax? And I typically say yes. But the thing is that if we're going to do that, that money that's raised has to be spent for what it's intended to be used for. Okay? I don't think that we should see an increase in our, like, for example, the water bill, $7 or $8, whatever it is, annually. Uh, and it increases that much annually, or even by month, whatever. And then the money raised for that for city taxes is not even used for that. It goes like, okay, for example, if I say that the city is going to pass um, an ordinance that will make sure that every street in the city can be repaved, and we're going to collect money from taxes just for that purpose. And then when that money's all collected that year, we spend it on, I don't know, um, let me think here, cars for all the people in city government. Like we buy them all a brand new car. Okay, I kind of think that that would be bad. I think if you're going to raise taxes, you need to raise it uh, for a purpose, and that money that you raise from it needs to be spent on that purpose. Uh, it's kind of like saying to me, if someone wants to raise money for campaign donations, they need to spend it only on that campaign, and that's the way I run my campaign, and that's the way I expect everyone else running to run theirs, because I like the idea of free and fair elections. I like the idea that people can understand that you cannot corrupt, the political system and the political environment by flooding it with money. Okay, that's just not how I think politics should work, and that's why I think that this certain individual was being dishonest with me and everyone else in the room about what they had to say, and it made me angry. But I didn't get hostile about it. I communicated my thoughts to him, and I went home and I processed it, and I'm fine. I believe in transparency like that. So that's me taking a political stance on this one issue, okay? And I want everyone in their audience to be aware that that's all that I'm doing. I'm trying to explain exactly how it is that I think things should work. I could be wrong, you know, whatever Nick thinks could be wrong according to somebody, but that's fine. Whatever. We're about an hour and a half now, and I think this is probably a good spot to stop at.
Yeah, and I generally agree with you on the tax issue, but we should probably stop here.
Yeah. Okay. So Monday, of course. Oh, I'm sorry. Tomorrow is first day of March, Super Tuesday. Nick, do you want to make any predictions for Super Tuesday?
I don't really know. I mean, Hillary seems to be on the uptick. Uh, Cruz is on the down or going down. Rubio's trying to fight his way up, and Trump is holding steady. It's gonna be interesting.
Okay. Let me rephrase this, and we'll just narrow it down to Bernie for this. Okay. How do you think that? Bernie will do tomorrow?
I'm thinking he'll win two states. New Hampshire and something else, but I'm not sure what.
So you're thinking that
That,
Mrs.
that,
Clinton is going to win Super Tuesday overall?
yes. I'm thinking that Hillary's going on Super Tuesday, and that Trump will also win overall.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out because the problem with this is that if she wins tomorrow, she'll win the nomination.
I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, I'm still hoping Bernie wins, but it's not looking very good right now. That the Sovereign Firewall is holding for the moment, at least. So
And
it's
see, like
it's probably gonna take it's gonna take a small miracle for Bernie to really get back in it.
that is actually the weirdest part for me. Um, People down here don't really tend to like Mrs. Clinton. So the fact that she's predicted to win all these southern states and everything is a little strange. It really is. It's kind of strange to me
I
because the South
I'm
is very,
also
very heavily
rather
Republican.
I'm genuinely kind of confused about how well she's doing down south. I don't know what to make of it, honestly. It's confusing to me.
I think what it is something, and this was an issue raised over the weekend. I think what it is that people are finally getting out to vote, and whether it's through misinformation or what, people are voting.
Well, I've heard
And
that
I
the Democratic I've heard the Democratic caucuses have been actually very underwhelming. Much lower than when Obama. The Republicans, on the other hand, have been much higher, much higher. So it'll be interesting.
it will be so. We'll find out tomorrow. But I think that's going to be it for today. Unless you have anything else to talk about, Nick.
No, I'm good.
Well, then I'm good too. So please remember to like this video, comment on it, share the video, subscribe to the channel, like us on Facebook, tell Nick how much you hate him, and we'll talk to you Wednesday, I guess, right?
Yeah, or Wednesday or Friday, somewhere around there. We'll
Well,
see.
okay. Here's the thing. We posted the message to our Facebook page. We're going to try very, very hard to get back to doing regular shows because, like the past 2 weeks or so, well, actually this year, we've been kind of off on our schedule. So I'm gonna start making time, even though I am incredibly busy, and I know Nick is incredibly busy as well. So we should probably both start making some time to do this. Don't you think so, Nick?
Yes,
And here's
yes,
the
we should.
thing. I've noticed that every time that we've actually done one of these, we haven't really done like a 15-minute thing. So I think it's probably safe to say that every thing we do from now on is actually going to be an actual episode. So
Probably.
probably going to be losing uh, the Radio Tokyo Presents thing. Just be Radio Tokyo episode number whatever.
Makes sense to me.
It does. But yeah, we'll probably be back on Wednesday. Don't forget Gotham starts tonight. We are, I believe, 55 days away from Game of Thrones. We are 25 days away from Dawn of Justice. We are not even 24 hours away from Super Tuesday. There's a lot of shit going on. Like I said, go see Deadpool. Like the video, comment on it, share, subscribe, like us on Facebook, and we'll talk to you later. And by the way, yes, I'm going to finish Power Rangers in Space before Friday, and I will get a hold of Brandon and see if we can get him back, and we'll have the Power Ranger episode, the long heralded episode of the Power Ranger episode on Friday.
Yeah, you said that already.
Well, I'm saying it again because, damn it, I believe in it.
And that's why people should vote for you.
Exactly what was voting for me because I'm an honest person and I want to make America Drumpf again.
That's a horrible line. That's why people will not vote for you.
That's exactly why they'll vote for me. Anyway, that's it. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye!